friends, welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time here, then a big huge special welcome to you guys. I hope that you will consider subscribing and click the little bell to be notified of all my future uploads, as well as if this is your 100th time, 50th time, 5th time, and you still have not hit that subscribe button, go right on ahead and do so that way you can be notified of all my future uploads and you don't miss any. But let's go ahead and let's get into today's exciting video. I was going through and organizing my makeup collection. I did all that, and there were some things that I was just looking at them and I was like, wow, some of these products I don't even use anymore just because like I've really changed my mind on them. Like I just don't use a lot of this. So today we're going to talk about the 15 things in the makeup world that I have changed my mind on. So if you guys are excited to see the 15 things I changed my mind on, why I've changed my mind on, what I'm doing instead, if anything, then definitely keep on watching. Number one is eyeliner. I feel like everybody in the makeup world, outside the makeup world, really wants to do like the little winged eyeliner. And I personally do think that that is cute, and I would spend a lot of time practicing my winged eyeliners, trying to use winged eyeliner. My lids are very just like droopy. They're hooded, okay? And although yes, hooded eyes can 100% absolutely make wings, obviously it's not going to be as easy as those with more open eyes and have more lid space. It's definitely something that hooded eye people definitely have to spend a lot more time working at, a lot more time in the mirror practicing, and that's fine. But for me personally, I have just come to that conclusion where it's like, eyeliner isn't for me. It makes my eyes look very much more small and hooded. On this eye specifically, I literally only have like this little bit of space that kind of shows the center or the lid shade. But when I use eyeliner, it covers up a good portion of that. So I just have personally just found that like for me, I'm just going to say I have hooded eyes, and it's okay not to do winged eyeliners, and it's okay to do something completely and totally different. So I love the way that I do my makeup. I don't have to worry about eyeliner. I don't have to worry about packing that when I travel. I don't have to worry about that like in my Shop My Stashes. None of that. It's not an extra added step in my day. It's not me sitting here like with my eyes open in the mirror drawing like specifically and like having it where like when you close your eyes like the wings up here so that way it matches for like right here. I don't have to worry about any of that, and I'm perfectly happy with that, and eyeliner is just not something that I'm really into right now. Number two, let's talk about liquid and cream shadows. I'm specifically talking about like Natasha Denona duochromes that are liquidy. Anything that's not like a shadow, I'm not super into anymore. The reason being is that my eyes are very hooded. They have creases in them, and I find that no matter what I am doing to get my liquid or cream shadows to stay, it's always just a disaster. I have done Trim Mood unboxings where I tried like the Jaclyn Cosmetics Twin Flames. That was a terrible mess. I have tried stuff from Sydney Grace. I have tried stuff from Natasha Denona. I have tried stuff from ColourPop. I have just tried to get cream and liquid shadows to work because I think that they're beautiful. I absolutely love them, but it just looks terrible on me after about a couple of hours. The fact is, I'm not like staying at home filming videos only where in a couple of hours if it looks bad I can just go ahead and take it off because I've already filmed for the day and nobody else is going to see me. Number three will kind of come as a bit of a shock. Like I am still personally shocked by this. Like I'm still like, what? Like what happened? Okay, yeah. The Blvd Beauty Eye Primer that you can get from Dollar General for $4. I have ranted and raved about that on my YouTube channel for, well, I don't know, since I started. It hasn't even been quite a year yet since I started my YouTube channel. But like since I have started that, I raved about that because that is a really good eye primer. Like here's the thing, I'm not gonna lie, that is a really good eye primer, but that is no longer my number one. yes, if your mind is blown, my mind is blown, everybody's mind is blown. Like, minds are just blowing up at this point. I did a battle of the eyeshadow primers a few months ago. I will leave that in the description box. I took 10 of the top eye primers that people sat there and raved about. Whether it be YouTubers, people from like makeup groups, whatever. And I ended up finding out that that Ulta matte eye primer is so good. So part of like my whole thing for like the eyeshadow primers is I wore it to work, not sat, and saw how long that lasted. Went to work, sat, tried a different variety of shadows, slept in my eyeshadows, got them wet, like did like water activities, things like that. Like I made sure that like I was testing these eyeshadow primers in any and every kind of way. The Ulta matte eye primer, why do I want to call it the matte eye primer? The Ulta matte eye primer. I mean, it's called the matte eye primer, but the Ulta matte eye primer. I literally went to work, worked, came home, slept in my eyeshadows, and when I woke up, it still looked pretty darn good. Like, good enough that I would still have just worn it straight to work. The rest of my makeup did not look good, but my eyes still looked good. And I literally have no issues with this primer at all whatsoever, and it does not get the recognition that it deserves. Number 4 is going to be lashes. Okay, listen. If we were talking about a year ago, I wore lashes everywhere. I wore lashes to work. I wore lashes to school. I wore lashes to the grocery store. I wore lashes to the doctor's office. Anywhere I was going, or if I was just sitting at home and I did my makeup, I was wearing lashes. Like, I have a drawer full of lashes because I was literally using lashes all the time. Until one day, in the middle of quarantine, I was like, you know, I'm not really going anywhere. I was like, maybe this would be a really good time to grow out my lashes. Because when I would put mascara on my lashes, I could do 3, 4, 5, 6 coats. It did not matter. You could not tell that I was wearing mascara. But now, I have grown out my lashes, and here's just with one coat of mascara, of the Pat McGrath mascara from this month Stop My Stash. Like, do you see how long like these are? They are so long. Now granted, my eyelashes are not very full. They are definitely kind of like sparse, but they are so long that now I feel like I only need lashes for really dramatic looks. And even then, I'm not doing a ton of those, so I'm really not wearing a lot of lashes. But I'm telling you, a year ago, in like March or before, I'm telling you, I would have been like, I gotta wear lashes if we're going somewhere. Now I'm like, I feel so confident in my lashes from growing them out by using some lash serums that I feel so confident in my lashes. I love it. Number 5 is going to be setting powder. If you joined my channel when I first started, or maybe a little bit after that, I would only set underneath my eyes. I would not set anywhere else on my face, period. You could not pay me enough to put setting powder on my face at all. It was then that I had a Trend Mood box come to me that had the Tatcha, the Silk Canvas powder in it. I know it's gotten like some negative reviews. All right, like I know that, you know that, we all know that it got some negative reviews. All right. So that had gotten some negative reviews, and I still wanted to try it. And so it came with like instructions. Like, I had like a whole brochure of like instructions on how to use this powder, how to best use this powder. I followed that instructions, with the instructions being big fat fluffy brush and like tap out, tap it out really good and then set the face. I will say I didn't care for the under eyes. I'll give them that. I did not care that much for the under eyes. But to set my face was incredible. Like, it's still one of my top like face setting powders, like not under the eyes, but like setting the rest of my face powders. So then I was like, well, what happens if instead of using a sponge or just like a brush where you like pick up some and maybe just lightly tap it off and then set it, how good would my makeup be if I, instead of like setting it after just like dunking in and getting a whole bunch of like you know, hitting the brush twice, if I literally sat there and like really knocked out as much of the powder as possible and then went in with like the leftover, that I found was a game changer. That has really changed my makeup game. I will now set my face. I will absolutely make sure that my brush is nice and like dusted out, but it looks so beautiful on skin. Like, I have sat my face today. I don't set like the whole entire thing, but I do set like where like my like right in here where all of my face powders are going to be. So like right in here and then right up here, and I don't set anything else. And I find that that works and looks incredible. Number 6, and I feel like this is probably going to be on a lot of people's list, like if they went back and like really thought about products that they changed their mind on, I feel like this will be on a lot of people's. Also, throw this in here before we get started on what that is. Let me know some makeup products, makeup purchases, etc. that you have changed your mind on and why. I definitely want to hear those down in the comment. But number 6 is going to be full coverage foundation. I know everybody else talks about this, but I have like severely dry skin. My skin is so dry. But I'm like, everybody talking about like full coverage and how great it is, only to find out that like it was just looking very cakey, really emphasizing that texture, and was really something that I was not wanting. So then I discovered that I really prefer medium coverage or less. I really prefer skin tints over any kind of foundation, but if I am going to be grabbing a foundation, I definitely want it medium coverage or less, where maybe I could potentially build it up in places I would need it. I usually don't find that I have places that I need to, but if I do, then I could at least build it up or use a concealer to help mask things. But of course, I fell into the hype of, you know, full coverage is the only kind of coverage you need. We hate medium, we hate sheer, we hate all that others, you know, whatever. So I fell into that hype as well. But now that I'm sitting here, like looking back and thinking on this, full coverage just isn't for me with really dry skin. And I am so happy using things with like medium coverage or skin tint or something like that. Like, that makes me the happiest. Number 7. And I think number 7 is going to come as a shock to you, especially if you are new to my channel. If you have been around my channel 3 to 4 months or less, this will be shocking. But that is green eyeshadows. I think that literally it was like this year that I did not like green eyeshadows. I thought they were intimidating. I didn't really want to use them. And now look, I've got green on my eyes. I can't remember what palette I had used that I had done a green look, and I was like, oh, interesting. Like, I actually kind of like that. And then as I used more palettes that had greens in it and tried them out, I really found that like I love green eyeshadows, and it's now one of my favorites. Before, purples and pinks were my favorites. I felt like they made my eyes just like pop and made them like green, which is true, they do. But I feel like greens almost like bring out like that I have like very like warm eyes, so very like yellow and brown, and I feel like greens really like is what pops that out, while purple and pinks pop out like the green. I have hazel eyes, so I have multiple colors, and so I have found that I love green shadows so much, and I wear them all the time. All right, number 8, and I feel like this is also kind of a popular one this year, within the past years of people. Liquid lipsticks. I don't really care for liquid lipsticks like I used to. I used to only buy liquid lipsticks, but now I am really into glosses and like lip oils. I do wear like I will wear bullet lip. Oh my gosh. I will wear bullet why do I want to call it bold liquid lipsticks? That's not what it is, Carrington. It's just bullet lipsticks. Bullet lipsticks. But that's what I would wear all the time. Oh my gosh. Let me take a brief pause to get my life together. So I would wear liquid lipsticks all the time, but I just find them drying. I don't find them comfortable. Granted, it might last a little bit longer, but here's the thing with like liquid lipsticks. I feel like with liquid lipsticks, once they dry, it's really hard to just like go back in with like another layer and build it up. Like I find I can't like just like take like what I've got on right now, which is kind of more like that gloss lip formula, and just like slide that on, and it doesn't look awful or patchy. But I find that with like liquid lipsticks, it would get a little bit patchy. It just feels like with liquid lipsticks, you'd have to go in and completely like retake it off and then reapply. I don't want to do that. I don't want to waste all that time. I just want something where it's like, yeah, it may not stay as long, but if I'm really needing it, I can just reapply. You know, I was at work and this wore off. I don't really feel like I need to apply it. If I'm at work, this wore off, and then I have a meeting, I can just quickly go in and reapply it without having to take everything else off. I can just go and be done. All right, number 9. Number 9 is going to be kind of the companion to the one I mentioned before, but that is full coverage concealers. I find full coverage concealers to be super, super drying and a little bit cakey on my under eyes. So as you can tell on my under eyes, I have lines. I also have some like darkness under my eyes, and I feel like the full coverage concealers definitely help cover up those dark circles, but it settles into those fine lines and looks very, very, very crepey and heavy, especially since my under eyes are very dry. So what I found that I'm really liking right now is to color correct with a light color corrector in those dark spots, and then go in with like a medium coverage concealer and just leaving it there for just like a little bit and then blending it out. And I feel like the concealer that I have on right now is, again, medium coverage, not as full coverage, and I feel like it doesn't accentuate and look cakey and heavy and splotchy in places. I feel like that's the way that I'm really liking things. Number 10 is going to be tinted brow gel. Now, my brows, without them being filled or anything, are super, super thin and super, super sparse. I used to love a tinted brow gel. I thought that was like the best thing ever because my brows are so sparse that I felt like with a tinted brow gel that it will work, that it kind of, I don't know, I felt like in my mind it like filled them in better. Whereas now I'm realizing that really it just makes a mess. It makes a giant mess. I'm not into that. I'd rather have a clear brow gel where I go in, fluff my brows and shape my brows, and then go in with a pencil to do all the filling. I think tinted brow gels would be something really good for those with like really furry brows or not as sparse brows, more full brows, something like that. But I feel like for those of us with very sparse brows, a clear would be better because it's not as messy. Number 11 are going to be single eyeshadows. This actually kind of blows my mind because I have bought single eyeshadows in the past. Like I'm talking like pressed shadows or like the Super Shock shadows or like anything else that you can imagine. But I would never use them. Like I was like one of those like a palette girl, like palette through and through. But then I got Give Me Glow shades in like singles because they have a lot more singles than they do palettes. And I put them in like Z palettes, and I now love that. Like, who am I? I love being able to curate my own palette with the colors that I want. I love being able to buy colors that I want and just use what I want. Whereas with palettes, I do sometimes, I mean, I love palettes, don't get me wrong, I also use some palettes. But I do find that like sometimes I'll have a palette and I'll be like, yeah, this is a great palette. I would just make this change and this change. Whereas with singles, I could probably dupe a palette with some singles from like different places and come out with the same result, like with the same, you know, kind of color story, but make the changes that I want. All right, number 12 is a sad one. Like I'm like sad. Okay, number 12 is the Huda cream bronzer. That bronzer was my ride or die bronzer for the longest time. You can go back and like just see how much I love that bronzer, how many shot my stashes I have put in, how close I am to being finished, how much I raved about it in favorites and fails. That was like the bronzer for me. The bronzer. But. Then I discovered Jaclyn Cosmetics and e.l.f. Number one, with the Huda bronzer, I feel like even though it says fair, I feel like that might be a little bit too deep for me still. And I really have to tap, like I'll just like dip my brush in and literally have to tap a lot of it off the back onto the back of my hand, and then be able to go in. And even then, I still feel like it's still too dark, still too heavy. Not something, I don't know, not something I'm loving as much since I've discovered the Jaclyn Cosmetics and the e.l.f. Now, the Jaclyn Cosmetics was in her like Too Hot collection, and here's the thing, like I love that bronzer, but it can't really be my number one bronzer because she basically was like, once this is gone, it's gone, and it like sold out. Like my shade anyways, sold out in like 5 seconds. Like I got it, like I was able to get it. You know, I can't really be like this is like the best bronzer for either one of those because like Huda like isn't as good as that one. Like it's just not. Like the Jaclyn one is definitely like the right tone, color, and I'm not finding that I can it's easy to go overboard with. Like I can literally take it, tap it on the back of my hand and lightly build up, or I can just like swirl around once and dab it, and I find that it's still perfect. But you can't get it anymore, so that's why I can't be like my number one, because then I can't get it anymore, and that's sad. But then I discovered the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer. That is quite a good bronzer, and again, it really is one of those. I feel like that, like, one, good price, two, perfect for beginners, because you really, again, it doesn't take a lot and it still looks good, and it's easy to build up. It's not easy to go overboard. It literally does take some very like blending and building, and I love that. Number 13, and I feel like I'm gonna be outed for this. Ousted? Kicked out? Like boom, you're gone. You know what I'm saying? But the under eye eyeshadows, like right in here, I very rarely do that. Just because, again, my eyes are already very small, right? Like I don't have like a ton of like room. So putting shadows underneath, sometimes I feel like make my eyes already look much smaller than what they are. And I'm not a fan of that. I'm not here for that. Okay, the last two aren't really, doesn't really pertain, how do I want to put this? They pertain more to things that I buy, more so than anything else. So number 14 is, I don't really buy a whole lot from Sephora and Ulta. Like, do I still make purchases from them? Absolutely. Yes, I literally just did a video like testing new makeup at Sephora. I will link that down below, as well as I just bought the Natasha Denona Mini Xenon palettes, and I did a look with that. I will link that video down below as well. But hear me out. I feel like it's great for a one-stop shop. I do. If you want everything, if you want to buy hair care, skin care, drugstore makeup, high-end makeup, whatever, that'd be good for you to go to Ulta and be able to get all those things at once. If you're looking for like high-end skincare, makeup, hair care, things like that, all in one spot, Sephora's probably gonna be your best bet. The reason why, like when I get, you know, like my payday and I go shopping for more makeup, the reason why I'm maybe placing one small order from each, or not placing an order that week or something, is because I am finding I am placing orders on like on indie brands website. I know it's like a little bit like shocking, but I feel like indie brands are so good, better than a lot of the brands that are sold in Sephora and Ulta. Like, I mean, like, blow them markedly out of the water. And the thing with indie brands is that you can get like ones at like really affordable prices, and you can get ones that are a little bit more high end. The downside is you're probably not going to have a one-stop shop. You're not going to be able to buy your Olaplex hair products, your NYX eyeliner, you know, whatever else, all in one spot. Like, you're basically ordering only what that indie brand offers. But I find that like I'm okay with purchasing maybe like my skincare and hair care from Sephora and Ulta, whichever one. But when it comes to makeup, I am wanting to buy indie brands. I just feel like indie brands are killing it out there, and I would much rather spend my money on like something new, unique, amazing than going into Sephora or Ulta where I'm just kind of like about it. Okay, number 15, and I have a feeling a lot of people are going to want to argue about this, and that's fine. Makeup is subjective, but that is buying Natona. That is buying Natasha Denona and Pat McGrath eyeshadow palettes. I said it. Buying those palettes. All right, hear me out. When I first started getting really into makeup, I would just have friends like talk to me about like good makeup products, and nobody ever mentioned Natasha Denona or Pat McGrath. But once I started venturing into YouTube, I would say this is about mid to late 2018, I literally heard everybody rave about Pat McGrath and Natasha Denona. And so one day I was like, oh man, I really want one of these palettes. And this was before like I could afford the makeup that I do now. And it was like $125, $129 for a palette. And I'm like, there is no way. There is no way no. First of all, Natasha Denona here, girl, you literally have 10 shadows for $129. 10 shadows for $129. Natasha Denona has 15 for $125. I literally was like, if I ever am able to purchase a Pat McGrath and Natasha Denona palette, I'll know, like, that's going to be amazing because this is the best that's out there. Right? Like, I feel like we have that, like, mindset. Like, we're all sitting here just, like, looking at these Pat McGrath palettes like this is the greatest thing ever. I feel like it's really hyped up because the mattes are very nice, pigmented, and blendable. Fine. Shimmers are incredible. And then there are, like, these, I think she has, like, 4 in each palette that are supposed to be, like, the extraordinary shades. Right, like these are like her special, like duochrome, pigmented, out of this world shimmers. Okay, same can be said for Natasha Denona. Shimmer shades, whatever, super fantastic, super wonderful. Mattes blend out like a dream. Let's talk about some indie brands. All right, let's just go ahead and we'll do some like little swatches of Sydney Grace. All right, Sydney Grace, Natasha Denona. Sydney Grace, Natasha Denona. You cannot sit here and tell me that Natasha Denona's looks anything better than Sydney Grace. And these are just swatches. Blows me out of the water. Give Me Glow also has like some super pigmented shadows that I find to be really easy to like blend and work with. Patrick Ta, his mattes. Okay, and that's $68 for, you know, it's still like half the price. And his mattes blended like a dream. Indie brands, like Aesthetic and Color Stories are so nice. But like, let's literally just look at these. So you've got 3, no, you only have 2 mattes. So like in this one, you literally only have 2 mattes. These are your 2 matte options. And the rest of them again are shimmers. Nothing revolutionary exciting. They are more brown, maroon colors. And here you have 3 shimmers, and again, more of those neutral brown colors. Whereas things with Shroud and Give Me Glow and Sydney Grace, they have like all kinds of colors. They have really super colorful. They have those neutrals, and they all work really, really well. And I feel like Pat McGrath is basically giving us the same like neutrals, pinks, those kinds of things. And I'm not seeing something like revolutionary and colorful in terms of mattes. And if we're spending $129 for 10 shades, I want something incredible. All right, friends, and that is it for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. Comment down below, what are some makeup products you've changed your mind on? Let me know, like, if you think Pat McGrath and Natasha Denona are worth the money in comparison to indie brands. Let me know. Let's have a discussion about that in the comments. Let me know all those things down below. And don't forget to subscribe, click the little bell so you'll be notified of all my future uploads, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!